Let the record reflect that 10:27 Commissioners Court reconvened in regular session. During executive session, the court had discussion regarding the pending litigation against the county filed by the Texas Tribune, and I'll ask the court if there's any type of action you'd like to take out there.
Judge Mitchell, I'd like to make a motion for the Commissioners Court that the Commissioners Court will not appeal the Texas Tribune case any further.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion on that motion.
I'll only say that my vote will be based really on those families that contacted me. I realize they may or may not be the majority of the families, or the majority of the families, that all the families that reach out to me express one direction, and that will reflect in my vote.
Judge, I will say that this decision that we're making today, if it passes, and I hope it will pass, this is a victory for the families, it's a victory for transparency. I think the families, for far too long, have been kept in the dark. And so this is a victory for the families. The parents were beautiful children, and those two wonderful teachers that were taken from us. So that's my statement. Thank you, Judge.
Anything else from the court? We do have Jesse Riso. Jesse, would you want to state?
Judge, Commissioner, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I come here with faith, and I come here to ask that you do not appeal the decision that was already made. The judge ruled in favor of releasing. The appellate court also ruled in favor of releasing, and to appeal the decision to take it to the next level, to me, is more powerful than good. This information will eventually see the light of day through litigation, perhaps. And there comes a time when we have to restore. We've torn a lot of things. We've torn the school, the community, our friendships that we've had. 3 years have gone by. When I reach the families, you're absolutely right. Not everybody's at 100%. That's totally right. The majority of the people asked that we release that information, and some of the parents, as I went down the list, those that wanted to talk, some of the teachers that weren't necessarily involved, and I asked, I realized that when they would look away and they were looking at the building, I realized, just like everybody in this room, that it takes you exactly reword the day, what you ate, what you drank, every single day, reword that moment. I turned around and I asked her, what is it you want me to do? As she came back to me from that day, 3 years later, and the teacher said, I want you to release it. How else can I trust you if I always believe that you're hiding something? That was profound to me. So I'm going to read some of the quotes, and they're painful, but I want you to think about them. And I want you to just imagine what it's like, and I'm sure they reached out to some of you. And it's stuff that slowly but slowly, it takes the life out of you. And you have to live with these things, right? You can't undo what they tell you and how they feel. So I'm going to read some of those comments that came specifically from some of the moms and the parents. I shared with you all what the teacher told me. One parent said to me, I have lost my child. What could hurt me more than losing my child? Another family member said, we owe them the truth. We're teaching others by releasing this information. It should be theirs because they lost the most. The information would give me peace of mind, but by not releasing the information, it's like you're torturing me. It's just too much to ask. By not releasing, you're taking my sanity. Another mom told me, I lost my daughter. What else could be worse? By not releasing this information, you're slowly killing me. Another parent told me, you can't give me my child back, the least you can do is give me this information. One mom told me, I've seen a lot worse. I've seen pictures. We've seen everything. I asked to get releases. So before y'all take your vote, I asked y'all to consider this and how, on what side are you going to be on? When you go to bed and you hear these things right, and children are stuck, is it more harmful than good? And I understand where the DA stands, I get all that. But at the end of the day, who lost the most? The parents did, the survivors did, the school did, the county did. Everyone in this room hurts and pains. Sometimes people nod and they support you and they embrace you, some more vocal than others. But at the end of the day, we're all human. We cannot take the human out of it. So I ask, as you consider this situation, that you look at the bigger picture. This is bigger than us. Right? Where do you stand as far as when you begin to rebuild this community? I've had conversations with multiple of y'all, and you have asked me, what can I do to help restore this thing? And this is what I'm asking y'all. This is the answer that I have. Do not vote to continue the appeal. Just let the information come out. Thank you so much.
All right, any other comments from the court? Now we'll proceed to vote on the favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 2-0. 2-1-0. I'm sorry, 2-1. All right, we'll go back and pick up item number 2, and that's citizens' comments. We have comments of Diane Wood.
Good morning, Deanna Rivera Peru. I wanted to address the court this morning regarding the decision you just made. I thought I would have the opportunity to do so before you went into executive session. I understand the reason for moving that agenda item up on the schedule. I appreciate that the majority of you have voted to not appeal the litigation. I understand why Commissioner Vargas abstained, I believe, and I'm not quite sure I understand why Commissioner Yackel voted nay. What I also want to say is that it is very disappointing to me as a citizen, as a taxpayer, that this court prolonged this issue for so long. It is very reflective of what this community, the government entities in this community have done across the years. The length of time it took this community to resolve litigation regarding segregation of our children in the 70s, representation on the school board in the 80s, even still yet, not willing to acknowledge that there are wrongs and spending hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on lawyers fighting wrongs instead of doing what's right. You made a small step today, but sometimes things like this are a little too late.
Okay, thank you, Diane. That's all of the citizens we have on citizen communication. Next item on the agenda is consider an act upon approval of minutes. We have the minutes of July the 14th before you. Are there any additions, corrections, stuff? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Judge.
Commissioner Copeland, is your second? Second. Commissioner Yeagle, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is consider and act upon accepting to annex into existing PSD2 and an order of public hearing. Bond visual.
that are listening today. This is on the ESD 2. The petition is not an effort of the Canepa Fire Department or ESD 2. The petition is from the citizens of Canepa who have the right to petition for the ESD 2. To consider annexing them into the district. So ESD 2 does not need a public hearing approved by the Commissioners Board or Commissioners. They're already an existing ESD, so they don't need any kind of approval for a public hearing today. And when annexing into the existing ESD, the petition does not have a fee to the county. And again, much of the resources and support that we have in Canepa have been from ESD 2, supporting us, training us, giving us apparatuses, helping with fundraisers. It has not been the Uvalde's effort to help Canepa. And all of the volunteers that truly love our community and show up to different calls. We don't have a territory limit. We all love each other and help each other. And if we can save one life, that's all that matters to us. There's no limits, borders, or anything. We all help each other no matter what. Thank you very much.
Lucy Jones, you have some comments regarding this.
Good morning, Commissioners. My role today is purely to read into the record what the code says. The code that governs annexation of the Emergency Services District is Section 775, Subchapter D of the Health and Safety Code. Section 775.051, which governs expansion of district territory, states qualified voters who own taxable real property in a defined territory that is not included in a district may file a petition with the Secretary of the Board requesting the inclusion of the territory in the district. That just goes to say that the Commissioner's Court is not the venue for annexation. We govern creation, but not annexation. So the existing ESD is the one that the petition would be filed with, and the code goes into how they would accept that petition and also facilitate that election for that territory. So they're the ones that would, since they're an independent governing board, since they've been created as an ESD, they're the ones that handle both the petition and the election.
Questions about this? Diane Drew?
The Honorable Peru. I appreciate Melissa coming to the court this morning and clarifying what may not have been known by the Commissioner's Court. It all falls with ESD 2 to decide and to consider whether or not they would annex Canepa, Rainy Wells, City of Uvalde, any property that is not yet designated within the district. I do feel, however, as a citizen of this county, that it's unfortunate that ESD entities make this issue so political. About a year ago in Hondo, the ESD there basically took the fire services away from the volunteer fire department. I mean, there was a lot of power in those governing bodies. And it's unfortunate, I'd hate to see something similar happen in Uvalde County. Should an ESD 3 be created? I don't believe we need to create another taxing entity. I will continue to fight against that. But I do know that every single volunteer fire department in Uvalde County always responds to every call, regardless of personal feelings, regardless of politics. And I appreciate that. And I always will say that in the middle of saying we don't need another property taxing entity.
The issue is, consider accept the annexation of the existing ESD 2. don't have the authority to do that. So is there a motion so we can have the record to refer that back to the ESD2?
I make a motion to take no action to refer this matter to the ESC number 2.
Okay. Any further motions or second? Commissioner Carter's discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5 is consider an act upon the Texas Hill Country River Region Quarterly Report. Are you going to get that?
If you need me to.
Sure. If you will. Lynette Meadows.
So Amy resigned. Very big loss to Alvin. However, Christy Gertz, as she could be here today, she has accepted the position she started last week on Monday. She has hit the ground running and is doing amazing. Social media is showing that we are trending upward. We're getting more hits. People are finding us. All is working well. River pickup, we picked up over 3,800 pounds of trash this quarter. 19 mile was 1,308 of it. Sponsored events, Swimming on the Frio was a great success. We had over 400 visitors on that for 3 night stays. Cactus Jack, we had over 25,000 on the first day and trended downward to just under 1,000 on the third day. 5K was great. Peak times was in the reports. The household 2965 female pass, however, we are going to continue working diligently and trying to get it passed in the next session. Do you have any questions?
River's really nice. I enjoy it.
The river is fine. It is beautiful. We are truly
It took us 4 hours from the second crossing to get there.
from the crossing.
The second crossing.
Oh, wow.
So we went through it.
That's fast.
Thank God for rain.
Yes, yes, sir. Amen.
Are you hearing from the lodge owners that the reservations are ticking up just a little bit?
Uh, So from our side, yes, we're seeing a few more increases. School is going back early, so that's kind of a hit for the lodging owners and all the folks across the state. But we are seeing an uptick in the weekdays right now.
You think our budget's on track?
Yes. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Annabelle Peru. First, I want to say that I'm very excited that Christy Curtis is going to be taking over the director position for this organization. I know that she's going to do an excellent job, and I appreciate that. I did want to address on page 6 of the report that the commissioners received the allowed categories for use of hot tax dollars. This is an issue that I've been concerned about for several years. The money itself is not necessarily designated and is supposed to be used for funding events. You can promote events through advertising, bringing awareness about the event, influencing visitors coming into the county in order to participate in those events, but it does not allow for funding the actual event itself. If I am wrong, somebody correct me, but everything I've read in the legislation and other available resources regarding the use of hot tax dollars does not allow for that. And I believe Uvalde County, the city of Uvalde, have done that and continue to do that. I'll use the Palomino Fest as an example. You cannot get the money to facilitate holding the event. All you can do is promote the event. And so please, please be sure that the money's being used as intended and not in any other way.
And I'll just address this since I actually have relevant information. So the city does have that ability. The county used to get some previous iteration, and they were seeking to return to that to mirror what most of the hot tax operators in the state operate by, and the city still does, which they are allowed to sponsor directly. The county, in its current version, is not.
Okay, I'd appreciate if you could send me the information that shows that that is allowed for the city of Uvalde. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Answer there a motion to accept the report from the Texas Hotel and Recreation?
Make a motion.
Commissioner Parker, Commissioner Copeland, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is consider and act upon a presentation of second draft of 2025-2026 Uvalde County budget. Per our budget calendar, you will presented the second draft of the budget. For you now, I'm asking you to take it, go through it, we'll have discussions about what you find in it, what you might want to add to it, delete, things like that. We'll have those discussions in the next few days, and it puts us back on track for August the 25th and the 7th and the 22nd, action by the court in order to implement this budget on October. Is that approved?
Yeah, Member Carew. Thank you so much again to the County Auditor's Office for posting the first draft of the budget. I trust that the second draft that you have been presented today will be on the website as quickly as possible so that I can review any changes, additions that have been made to that draft. I also want to apologize to the court that I was unable to attend the budget workshop on Wednesday of last week. I was out of town. We were meeting our new granddaughter, and so I was unable to attend, even though I've been an individual that has continually advocated that this court do budget workshops. I understand from a previous employee of the county that you used to do 3 days of budget workshops. The departments would come in and visit with you about their budgets. The commissioners would ask questions. It was a very well presented and thought out process. I hope that this court will return to that practice after this year. I also want to say that it was disappointing that none of your department heads showed up for that workshop except for the county clerk's office. I appreciate that she was here. I appreciate that the 5 employees were here and addressed this court regarding their wages. I still am asking this court to find dollars to provide an increase, a much-needed, much-deserved increase for these employees. I'm disappointed that in some departments we have new employees coming fresh into the county courthouse being given a salary that somebody earned over a number of years. I understand that the county auditor's office and the new employee stepped into a $36,000 salary. No experience, I don't know the background, but this county needs to look at entry-level wages based on experience, based on years of service, step increases, something different than what you're doing now. You're using taxpayer dollars to fund these salaries, benefits, and retirement. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll accept this position, this item today will place on the agenda for action to the subsequent meeting. We'll go to item number 7, and that's consider an act on road administrative report. D.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioner. Morning. This report is from July the 10th through July the 23rd. Related roads in 331, 336, 337, 347, 408, 415. We've been patching potholes in County Road 354 in Nippa. Cut brush on 408, 409. Cut grass on the concrete and Kelly Cat in the county yard, and we're back to cutting grass again. Fixed washouts many times on County Road 405 and other roads as well. Equipment was moved County Roads 202, 348, 350, 407, 415. Also from County Roads 339, 336, and County Roads 405, 408. Heavy rainfall that began on July 2nd caused flooding and damage to low water crossings, and it also wiped out a bunch of our regular roads. List them all, we got about 13 different roads, with County Road 415 coming in, leading the back on the worst one. Materials were hauled to Uvalde County, the county roads of 336, 407, and 415 for repairs. I met with Texas Department of Emergency Management disaster relief eligibility costs to the Uvalde County roads. Eligibility was met after on-site review of County Road 415 with the expenses exceeding the minimum threshold of $115,000 for warranty damages. We also added about those 8 more roads onto it, so well under or in. Repairs were done on County Road 202, and at this time, County Road 202 is completed. We're moving up to 409, starting on it, crossing. 336, 348, 350, 405, 47, 408, 410. All low water crossings are passable, and repairs will continue until all damages are repaired. Check along. Any questions?
Questions of Dean?
So we met the minimum for TIFA, disaster
Yes.
thing.
Second.
And what's the process for that? You fill out paperwork and they reimburse
Let's
it.
fill out paperwork, we go to.
Carr, you want to address
That's
that question
curious, not just-
about how do we get the FEMA, this system? How do we fund TDM on the flood damages?
Okay, so this is the deal, to my knowledge, it's not our first rodeo, obviously. We've been washed out before. So the judge, the Uvalde County, issued a declaration of disaster, due to the recent event. Governor Abbott has included Uvalde County, with approximately, I think, 19 other counties in the state of Texas. There's a total of 20 as of today that have been included in that declaration. TIF should come and do some preliminary assessments to get an estimate on the amount of damage. Uvalde County has a threshold, I believe it's about $115,000, if they have to meet that threshold before they're eligible for federal assistance. At some point, we do expect the authorities to show up and do an assessment on all the damaged roads. In the meantime, Uvalde County is tracking daily. And I really appreciate that. I want to thank the road department for doing that. They're tracking their expenses, their personnel, their equipment, on a daily, timely basis, the roads they're working, documenting all that. So when the FEMA, whoever does come and show up, we already have that documentation on hand. We can provide that to them for preliminary assessment. Again, they will do their own assessments, and will travel the roads, take pictures, document, measure, do all that. And, we're expecting that to work for them at any time. We do know there's other major damages across the region and across Central Texas, so we're sort of waiting patiently for the show. Okay? Should the county meet that threshold, well, then there is that potential to reimburse 75% of the total damages for the Uvalde County, having to contribute a 25% match. Unless there is change in the legislature according to that process. Okay.
Any questions of Carl? Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Judge.
Anything else for Dean?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to accept the report? Commissioner Copeland? Commissioner Larson? We do have a comment by Timothy.
Good morning, doctoral candidate Tina Ann Quintanilla. I am here to discuss exactly the road department. Mr. D has been in charge of that department for a long time, and I've had the opportunity to work with Mr. Carl Lester on some grant stuff and whatnot. But this reflects back to something that I mentioned directly to you, Commissioner Backus, back in 2017, which I have an email here. So So a lot has happened since 2017. We're 2025, and to let y'all know, I am now a water operator. I hold a Class B water operator license, and I'm also a customer service inspector. So I know a lot about water now. I know, and a lot of people might say, how does Tina apply herself? Simply because of passion. I read these things, and it gets me irritated that people don't understand policy, procedure, and also how to anticipate the allocation of county fundings. So with all that being said, this email here is in regards to County Road 202. 202 has been a controversial road for many years, as Mr. Quadras can agree to that. Being that the flumes are not necessarily placed in the center of the riverbed, okay? They are canaling the water to one side of the riverbed, okay? This is against state law. I have mentioned this back in 2017, and I mentioned it again. Now, I understand County Road 202 is important because there's a lot of residents that live on the other side, okay? They have an alternative residency entrance located on Highway 90, which they can access. However, it takes them a long time to get home. Therefore, they want to cut across 202. Back in 2017, we were delegated funding to improve our county road bridges so that every time water gets, we have one of these issues, water sweeps away one of our temporary bridges, that they get addressed appropriately and also in a more permanent nature. With that being said, we had spoke about how 202 constantly gets washed away. We had agreed that that was one of the bridges that needed to be lifted and repaired permanently with concrete. Here we are, 2025, almost a decade later, and that hasn't been done. So hearing about the
15 seconds.
I'm sorry, but I am going to read this email in full, and it's through the Texas Commissioner on Educational Quality, where they found that under the investigation of this South Texas Water Master Program, that they found that water was being diverted from a state water course as well as any impoundment of state water through the Wiseman facility. And so with that being said, any water that's coming downstream is also being affected because we're not able to water our livestock and whatnot. The main premise of these concerns is that when you have your county tractors in our water beds, I have taken photo of oil leaks. That too will be submitted to TCEQ and Texas Park and Wildlife.
Thank you. Okay, the motion on the floor is to accept the road administrator report. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8 is consider an act on item budget amendments. We have none this morning. Diane, did you want to say something?
No, thank you.
Tina?
I'm good.
Item number 9 is consider an act upon approval of monthly reports. We've had an opportunity to review those reports. Is there a motion to approve? Commissioner Barton, is there a second? Second. Commissioner Vargas, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item number 10 is consider an act upon payment of bills. You've had an opportunity to review the bills. We have a motion by Commissioner Vargas to approve. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Larson, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And item number 11 is consider an act upon resolutions and proclamations. As we close today, I'd like to do so in memory of Alejandro McGillary, Sue Pitts Baldwin, David Chapa, Gregoria Cordova, Billy G. Davis, James Cody Elrod, Judy Moore Garner, Gerald Stephen Small. Anybody else?
Antonio Hernandez.
Antonio Hernandez? Anybody else? If not, that concludes this agenda. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all for being here.